Hey guys, and welcome back to Heart of the Game. Today we're gonna talk about one of my favorite survival horror games of all time.
Resident Evil 2.
And I want to start off with talking a little bit about how I first encountered this game. Basically I played and saw this game firstly in elementary school. I don't remember exactly how old I was or which grade it was, but you used to get these demo discs in PlayStation magazines, and they would have a bunch of videos and the gameplay demos of different PlayStation games. So I remember I was at a friend's place, and he had one of these demos, and he told me, and his bigger brother told me too, that you gotta come and check this game with us. And they flipped in the disc and started up the Resident Evil 2 demo. And I gotta be honest with you guys, I was scared as shit because I had never played a horror game in my life at that point. And this was the first introduction I had to a survival horror game, so I didn't even dare play the game. I just watched my friends playing it, and when they passed the controller to me, I'll just try some of these other demos on this disc. Was like my excuse. Yeah, I've seen you guys play it. So that's the first time I ever saw Resident Evil 2, and yeah, later on, I don't remember if this was the same year, but it was probably some while later. Me and my brother, we were at our grandparents' house, and we were going to stay there the whole weekend. And they allowed us to rent this PlayStation 1 from a video store, a movie rental store. So we rented the PlayStation for the weekend, and we could decide on one game each, and we had to agree on a third one. So I chose Battle Arena Toshinden, which is a fighting game quite like Tekken and Street Fighter, those kinds of games. And my brother, he decided Resident Evil 2. And the third game we agreed on, I think, was Wipeout, the racing game, the futuristic racing game. And my bigger brother, he said to my grandparents, okay, Kevin, he can't watch me play this game because it's for bigger kids. It was, I don't remember if it's rated 16 or 18 here in Norway, but so I told my grandparents. I ended up watching him play through the entire game anyways though. So I watched him, and I remember we were sitting up upstairs on the TV, and I was sitting there with I was young then, I was sitting there with my toy gun prepared if the zombies would come through the television to get me. So I was sitting there with my toy gun. I was like, okay, I'm safe now. And I watched him play through the whole game. And I started obsessing about this game. I was making drawings of this game, and we were talking about this game all the time at school and stuff, And eventually I got up the courage to play this game myself. When I finally got a PlayStation of my own, I lended the game of a friend, and I built up the courage to start playing through it, and I actually completed it. It took me a long time though, because we didn't have access to the internet back then like you have today, so I had to figure out all the things myself. I was just amazed. I was so obsessed about this game, and the zombie elements, and we couldn't tell our parents what kind of game this was, because shooting zombies that are eating your flesh and stuff, that was a no-no, at least in my family. So yeah, it's just a great game, and I've put together a video overview for you guys, so you can take a look at that and see what's up and what's what. And I'll see you on the other side. Resident Evil 2, or Biohazard 2 as it's known in Japan, is a third-person horror survival game with puzzle-solving elements. It was developed and published by Capcom and was released the 21st of January 1998 for the Sony PlayStation, and it's the second installment in the Resident Evil series. The game follows two main protagonists, Leon S. Kennedy and Claire Redfield, and takes place in Raccoon City 2 months after the events in Resident Evil. It starts out with being Leon's first day as a Raccoon City police officer, and Claire arriving in town to look for her brother Chris Redfield. They quickly find out that the whole town is crawling with zombies, which later find out is caused by the T-virus. Leon and Claire team up to survive, but as events unfold, they are split up and they agree to meet up at the police station, because it has to be a lot safer there, right? And so our nightmare begins. Resident Evil 2 is the definition of a survival horror game, making you fight zombies and nightmarish creatures in claustrophobic confined spaces, whilst conserving your ammo. Exploration and puzzle solving is a big part of the game, and is necessary so you can find ammo, healing items, and even key items so you can progress through the game. The controls have been both praised and criticized, being dubbed tank controls because its similarities with movement of a tank. Aiming and shooting is a simple point and aim, and can even be set to auto aim to make combat a bit easier. The game also has an inventory management system, so you are always second guessing what to pick up and not. Most of the game takes place in the Raccoon City Police Department, and in the later stages of the game, a sewer plant and the secret laboratory. One of the things that made Resident Evil 2 such a great game was the atmosphere, especially in the police department. Everything from gorgeous pre-drawn backgrounds, enemy placement, and the gloomy airy music makes for one hell of an experience. On a side note, the voice acting has been called a bit cheesy and bad. And it certainly isn't the best voice acting, but it's fine, and it's at least a lot better than in Resident Evil 1. Resident Evil 2 features the same frame-to-frame visuals as the first installment, and has camera angles which not always favor you as a player, and only adds to the claustrophobic experience. The enemies varies from your standard zombies to infected animals, plant life, and the signature creature, the Licker. Oh, hello there, Mr. Licker Boy. Back to the video. Resident Evil 2 has two main playable characters, Leon and Claire, and has multiple scenarios depending on which character you start off the game with. For example, if you start out with playing as Leon, that game will be called Leon A. After you complete the game, you can load your final save and proceed with playing the Claire B scenario, which fills in Claire's part of the story and even expands on the ending. And in the same way, you can start off by playing as Claire. The game will then be called Claire A, and then you can proceed to playing the Leon B scenario. This makes for an interesting difference and awesome replayability. Resident Evil 2 was originally released for the Sony PlayStation, and then re-released with a DualShock version, which supported the DualShock controls and vibration functions, and even had an unlockable minigame and an alternate starting difficulty. The game was later ported in 1999 to Microsoft Windows, the Nintendo 64 and the Sega Dreamcast. The game also got a GameCube release in 2003, which is my favorite, because that version has hands down the best looks, despite not having the extra content of the PS1 DualShock version. Resident Evil 2 has been critically acclaimed and has even been called the best Resident Evil game. It has gotten good reviews overall and has even been on the list of top 100 video games of all time and the top 100 retro games of all time. I'm also glad to announce that of August 12, 2015, Capcom producer Yoshiaki Hirabayashi confirmed that a remake of Resident Evil 2 is in development and hopefully will be released sometime in 2018. And we're back! So that was my video overview of Resident Evil, and I just have to laugh because I just intended to play the game a little bit just to get enough video to do the video overview, and I ended up playing through the whole Leon scenario and the whole Claire scenario after that, so like 8 hours approximately of gameplay. And yeah, I just remembered how good this game is because I haven't played it in quite some time, you know, and it's really good. It's one of my favorite Resident Evil games and one of my favorite survival horror games of all time, just hands down. And I'm so hyped we're getting a remake of this game. I really hope they nail this. I'm really excited for it, you know. And I'm so glad we're living in an age now where people are starting to appreciate old games more and we're getting remakes and whatnot, you know. So it's time to rate this great game, and I gotta tell you, it's gonna be a strong number of hearts today too. I actually rate this game 9 hearts because it's just that good. And I really recommend people that hasn't played this game to pick it up and play it. It might be a good idea to play the first game first though. I didn't play Resident Evil 1 first. Resident Evil 2 was my first Resident Evil game. But if you're new to the franchise, I would recommend picking up Resident Evil 1, the remake. It's available on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, it's on Steam, on Windows. So check that out first and then come back and play Resident Evil 2. The easiest way to play this game today is actually if you own a PlayStation 3, you can download it from the PlayStation Store. So that's the absolutely easiest way to do it. Or if you're like me and because I enjoy the GameCube version more than the PlayStation 1 version. Just because the graphics are a lot cleaner and it just looks more amazing on the GameCube, to be honest. So then you actually have to find a copy of the GameCube version and have a GameCube and go through the hassle of hooking that up to a television and stuff. But I really do recommend it. It's worth it. So yeah. So that's my review of Resident Evil 2, one of the best survival horror games ever made. So on my next episode, I'm going to review a game that actually came out this year. It's a fast-paced action RPG. I'll give you that hint, and it's just amazing. So you have that to look forward to, guys. So this is Kevin signing off, and see you guys next time.